Welcome to this class. In this class, we'll be continuing from our previous class, right? Where we solved the Gauss elimination method. And in this question, now we are going to apply the Gauss elimination method to solve for the value of x1, x2, and s3. Let me write it here using Gauss elimination. Good. Now solution. Let's call this our equation 1, call this our equation 2, and call this our what? Equation 3. If you watch the previous video on this class, right, you will see that to solve this is very easy. Step 1 is to what? Our aim here is to eliminate this part here, eliminate here, and what? Eliminate here. Such that we'll be left with S3, now then equate it to something. How do we do it? It's very easy. First, step 1, eliminate x1 in equation 2. Eliminate x1 in equation 2 using the factor. Using the factor. Now, we'll talk about how to get the factor. It's the coefficient of x1 here divided by the coefficient of what? X1 here. What is the coefficient of x1 here? The coefficient of x1 is minus 3 divided by coefficient of x1 here, which is 10, to multiply equation 1. If we use this to multiply equation 1, we are going to have minus 3 all over 10 multiplied by this, that is multiplied by 10x1 minus 3 all over 10 multiplied by what? 2x2 minus 3 all over 10 multiplied by minus x3 is equal to minus 3 all over 10 multiplied by 27. 10 cancel 10 here, you are going to have minus 3x1. Then here, 3 times 2 is 6. 6 divided by 10 will give us minus 0.6 S2. Here we are going to have minus will give us plus, alright? Give us plus 0.3 S3 equal to, if you punch this in your calculator, you are going to have minus 8.1. This is minus 3 times will give us minus sign. Divided by 10, you are going to have this. Now, since you have done this, next step is to perform the elimination. Perform elimination. Now, I remember we are trying to eliminate this. To eliminate this, now it becomes minus 3x1 minus 6x2 plus 2x3 will be equal to what? Minus 61.5. What is the equation we formed that we are going to use to eliminate that? It becomes minus 3x1 minus 0.6x2 plus 0.3x3 is equal to minus what? 8.1. You look at this, this is minus. So what do? We subtract. If we subtract, minus times minus, it will give us plus. Minus 3x1 plus 3x1 will give us 0. That is out. Next step now is minus 6x2. Minus times minus plus. Minus 6x2 plus 0.6. We are going to have minus 5.4x2. Punch your calculator, you are going to have minus 5.4x2. Next step now is 2 minus 0.3x3. We are going to have plus 1.7x3 equal to minus plus minus 61.5 plus 8.1. We are going to have minus 51 minus 53.4. Alright, so let's call this our equation 4. Let's call that equation 4. And since we have already done this, the next step to do is step 2 eliminate x1 in equation 3 using the factor now. Now, if you look at that, you get what is the coefficient of x1 here? Coefficient of x1 here is what? 1 divided by coefficient of what? 10 of x1 here, which is 10. So the factor it becomes what? 1 all over what? 10 to multiply equation 1. Remember, we are performing the elimination using, to remove the first one, use your first equation. Alright? To eliminate this one and this one here, you perform the elimination using this equation. Then and the one that you want to eliminate it from. Alright? So if we use 1 over 10 to multiply our equation 1, we are going to have 1 over 10 multiplied by 10x1 plus 1 over 10 multiplied by what? 2x2 plus 1 over 10 multiplied by minus x3 equal to 1 over 10 minus multiplied by 27. 10 cancel 10 here. X1 times 1 will give us x1 plus 1 all over 5. This gives us 2 over 10. 2 over 10 is the same thing as 1 all over 5. So if you punch the 1 over 5 in your calculator, you are going to have 0.2 S2. Then use this to multiply this, you are going to have minus 0.1 x3 equal to, use this to multiply, we are going to have what? 2.7. Now, since we have this now, let's perform the elimination. Perform the elimination. Remember, we tried to eliminate x1 from equation 3. Now, what is the equation 3? Equation 3 is x1 plus x2 plus 5x3 equal to minus 21.5. Equal to minus 25. What is the equation that we form? Is x1 plus 0.2 x2 minus 0.1 x3 equal to 2.7. Now remember that the reason why we multiply equation 1 by 1 over 10 is to make sure so that we will get x1 from here, so that everything between this, since we are trying to eliminate this, so that this and this should be what? The same, such that we can subtract and get 0. So if we subtract now, s1 minus s1 will give us 0. 1 minus, remember this is minus, 1 minus 0.2 will give us 0.8 x2. 5 minus minus plus, 5 plus 0.1 will give us plus 5.1 s3 equal to minus times plus minus 21 plus 5 minus 2.7. We are going to have minus 24.2. Now let's call this equation 5, sorry. Now if we form our matrix, with this equation we have. Remember, this doesn't change. Now this one, now this is the new equation that we have. So if we form matrix with these 3, we are going to have 10, 2, minus 1. Then our new equation here. Remember, we've succeeded in removing this one to be 0 and also this one to be 0. So if we put these ones here becomes 0 minus 5.4, and there will be 1.7. Remember, we've already succeeded in putting here 0 too. That is this. So 0, then 0.8, there will be 5.1 into x1, x2, x3 equal to b1, b2, b3. So you can see that we've gotten 0 at these 2 points. Remember what we said, that our aim in this method is to get what? A value here, value here, value here, 0, value, 0, 0, and what? Value. So you can see that this one here doesn't change. It's the original one, but now we've succeeded in getting 0 here and here. The next step now is how to get this particular what 0 again, to get a lower triangular of 0 and upper triangular of values. So to get the next 0 now, for that is 0 at this point. For us to get this 0 now, we have to eliminate x2 here in equation 5. We have to eliminate s2 in equation 5. So the next step is eliminate x2 in equation 5. Eliminate s2 in equation 5. Eliminate s2 in equation 5 using, how do you get the factor? It's still the same way we have been getting the factor. Since we are going to eliminate s2 in equation 5 using equation 4 and 5, let me write it. Using equation 4 and 5, what you have to do is, since we want to eliminate it from here, also to get the factor now becomes the coefficient of s2 here divided by the coefficient of what? s2 here. Now use that number now, or the answer, to multiply your equation 4. Use the answer to multiply equation 4. So the factor, hence the factor, all right, that we'll be using now becomes, what is the coefficient of x2 in equation 5? It is 0.8. So it becomes 0.8 divided by factor of x2 in equation 4 becomes minus 5.4. I'm going to use this now to multiply equation 4. I'm going to use it to multiply equation 4. So if we use this is our equation 4. If we use this to multiply equation 4, we're going to have 0.8 all over minus 5.4 into minus 5.4 x2 plus 0.8 over minus 5.4 into minus into 1.7 x3 is equal to 0.8 over minus 5.4 into, what is the other number? Minus 53.4. Close the bracket. Is it? Yeah. Now, if you look at this, we cancel this. We are going to have 0.8 x2. Here now, there is minus here, so the minus will be here. If you perform that, we are going to have minus 0.25 x3 minus 0.25 x3 equal to, perform this, you are going to have minus you cancel out, you are going to have what? Plus 7.911. Since we have this now, the next step now is to perform elimination. Remember that the reason why we are using the factor to multiply is to make sure that this one here and this one here becomes what? Common. The same thing we did here. For instance, we want to eliminate this one here, but this, if we want to eliminate, since we want to eliminate this one, all right? If you look at this, here is minus 8, here is minus 10. To make these two things the same thing, that's why we multiply by minus 3 over 10 to get minus 3x1 and this equation, which makes this and this to what? To be the same thing that enables us to what? To eliminate. All right? That's why we're multiplying it by the factor. Now, to perform by the elimination, since we are trying to eliminate this from equation 5, it becomes what? 0.8 x2 plus 5.1 x3 equal to 5.1 x3 equal to minus 24.2 minus this, we got 0.8 x2 minus 0.25 x3 equal to 7.911. Now, if we subtract 0.8 s2 minus 0.8 s2, here will give us 0. And if this minus will give us plus 5.1 plus 0.25, 5.1 plus 0.25 is going to give us plus 5.35 x3 equal to minus this minus 7.91, we're going to have minus 32.11. Now, if we form our matrix again, it now becomes, here we have 10. Remember, the first line of the matrix does not change. The second and third changes. So it becomes 10, 2 minus 1, 0 minus 5.4, then 1.7, 0. Okay. Now, since remember we have already eliminated this, so what is the new value we got? The new value we got was, okay, here is 0 already before. Now we've already eliminated this. Now we have eliminated this, so that point becomes 0, and we are left with what? For S3, that is 5.35. So this becomes our matrix into x1, x2, x3 equal to, and if you notice, the value here has also what? Changes. For this equation, what was the value here? Here we have 27. For this equation, this line of equation, that is our equation 4. What was the value? Is minus 53.4. For this equation, that is our new equation, what was the value of B there? Minus 32.11. So you can see that we have successfully gotten our upper triangular of values and our lower triangle of what? Zeros, which is the aim of the Gauss elimination. So I have successfully gotten this. Now, since we have done this, from here we can simply perform. So from here now we can perform that step. I think this should be step 4. Step 4 now, perform substitution. Perform solving and substitution. Now remember that from here we said that 5.35x3 is equal to minus 32.11. So we said that 5.35x3 is equal to minus 32.11. For us to get x3 here, divide both sides by 5.35. 5.35. This we cancel this. From here now, our x3 will be equal to minus 6. Punch your calculator, this divided by this will give you this. Now, since we have our s3 as minus 6, remember from our second rule, you can simply say that is from equation 4. I simply say that minus 5.4 x2 plus 1.7 s3 is equal to what? Minus 53.4. Is equal to minus 53.4, right? So we already gotten the value of s3 as minus 6. So in place of s3 here, substitute what? Minus 6. Substitute minus 6. To substitute minus 6, we are going to have minus 5.4. Minus 5.4 s2 plus 1.7 into minus 6 is equal to minus 53.4. So this will give us minus 5.4 s2. So if you multiply this, it's going to give us a negative sign. It's going to give us minus 10.2 equal to 53.4. This one will cross this to this other side to give us minus 5.4 s2 is equal to minus 53.4 plus 10.2. So give us minus 5.4 s2. Punch these two on your calculator, you are going to have minus 43.2. To get x2, divide both sides by minus 5.4 minus 5.4. If we divide both sides by minus 5.4, this will cancel this. Minus minus will cancel out. So our s2 will be equal to 8. Now you can see that we have gotten the value for s3 and s2. Next step now is to get your value for what? x1. How do you get your x1? Follow the same place. Now remember, we use this one here to solve for s3. We use this one here to solve for s2. Now we're going to use equation 1 here to solve for x1. How do we do it? It's also very easy. It becomes 10x1 plus 2x2 minus x3 equal to what? 27. We know the value of this and this. So let's substitute. We are going to have 10x1 plus 2 into what? Value of s2 is 8 minus value of s3 is minus 6. So minus 6 equal to 27. This will give us 10x1 plus 16 plus 6 equal to 27. So this will give us 10x1 equal to 27 minus 16 minus 6. So 10x1 here will be equal to 5. When you use your calculator, I'm going to get 5. Divide both sides by 10. 10 will cancel 10 here. 5 here 1, 5 here 2. So this will give us x1 will be equal to what? 1 over 2. So our s1 is 1 over 2. Our s2 is what? 8. And x3 is equal to minus 6. So this is how you apply the Gauss elimination method to solve linear equation that have 3 unknowns. Thank you for following us and watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe. If you have any question, message me on WhatsApp or drop the question in the comment section. Thank you.